It is week 4 in the NFL, and our CBS Sports crew is going to be very busy this week with a lot of games on tap as you take a look at our game announcers for week 4. Of course, we're going to focus on this game right here, the second one on the list. Kavin Harlan, Trent Green, Melanie Collins will be in Green Bay for what will be one of the more intriguing matchups we've seen to this point. The Vikings taking on Green Bay, two quarterbacks that we didn't expect to see in this situation. But let's talk about how good these quarterbacks have been so far, starting with Malik Willis, right? We all knew going into the season that Jordan Love was supposed to be the revitalization for the Packers, and then he gets hurt week 1. And everyone was kind of scratching their head about what Malik Willis was going to do. Well, this is what he has done so far. He is 2-0 on the year. Look at the completion percentage, a 9.8 yards per attempt, as well as passer rating 126. I believe that leads the league right now, a stark difference from what he did in Tennessee. And then you want to talk about Sam Darnold stepping in, a renaissance, if you will. He ranks 1st in passing touchdowns, 2nd in passer rating, and 5th in yards per attempt. He has this Vikings team undefeated going into week 4. So to get us ready for this matchup, let's bring in one of the voices on the call for this one, CBS Sports play-by-play announcer Kavin Harlan. And Kevin, I'm not sure anybody expected us to be at this point of the season where we'd be talking about Sam Darnold and Malik Willis, but I want to focus on Sam Darnold first here. Just the renaissance we have seen out of him this year. How much has he impressed you through 3 weeks of the season?
Haley, incredibly. We saw him against San Francisco a couple weeks ago, and he was incredibly calm and incredibly effective. Now, you got to go back to last year to find out why we're seeing this version of Sam Darnold as compared to the past, where he played for a handful of teams, nothing really stuck, initially drafted very high by the Jets, moved his way around, and specifically chose San Francisco last year to be a backup to Brock Purdy with the intention of kind of rebooting, kind of restarting his career. And the principles he learned in the Kyle Shanahan offense are very evident, Haley, in the way he is now playing for the Vikings. That was step 1. He learned how to study better. He learned how to watch tape, compartmentalize, do all the things that have made the succession of San Francisco quarterbacks so good. There's a system in place. So he's carried that over to Minnesota. Now he has one of the great minds offensively in pro football in Kevin O'Connell, who has grabbed the baton and taking him to the next level. And it's worked perfectly. He has terrific receivers. He's got an outstanding run game, a rebuilt offensive line. But most importantly, I think their defense has made it such with their terrific play that there's no pressure on Darnold. They're in every game because of the defense. And I think I saw, Haley, a statistic where he has only thrown 2 passes where his offense and that team did not have the lead in a game.
Wow.
That is an incredible amount of pressure off a quarterback. So that, in a nutshell, is why he is where he is. Now, if he can battle a bruised knee and go into Lambeau Field on the road as an undefeated quarterback, and we'll see what kind of pressure that brings. Green Bay's coming off a terrific win, but Darnold has been, if not the best single story in the NFL, one of the top 2 for sure.
Yeah, I love your statistic. I'm going to give you a statistic back. Sam Darnold is just the 5th quarterback in the last 25 years to go 3-0 with 8 or more passing touchdowns in his first 3 starts with the team. And for context, 2 of the previous 4 all went to a Super Bowl that same year. So you think about what Sam Darnold's doing.
I'm using that in the broadcast, Haley. Thanks. You've already helped me for my Sunday preparation.
I got you. I'll send it your way.
They're good.
Hey, I want to ask you something you just mentioned as well, too. You mentioned Kevin O'Connell and the impact that he's had on this Vikings team. But even when you go back last year when they had that adversity with Kirk Cousins going down midway through the season, the Vikings were still buying into him. How much credit should we be giving KOC in all of this with the Vikings?
A bunch. Remember last year they used 4 different quarterbacks when Kirk Cousins snapped his Achilles. And they still were there basically at the end. It was not the kind of season they anticipated, but he kept them above water. O'Connell did with his quarterbacking, his coaching, his offensive scheming, all of it. And so he really did a terrific job. But now he's got, if not the premier receiver, one of the top 3 in Justin Jefferson. They've got a rebuilt tight end room, and they're not without their loss there because Hockenson hasn't come back from his injury a year ago. But just the way that they have kind of looked at what they have and molded it around what Darnold can do best at this stage. He's only 3 games into his Viking career, only 3 games into this offense. But my goodness, to do what he's doing is nothing short of remarkable. But the voice of O'Connell and his helmet in his head, the way he prepares, it clearly has had an impact. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, it helps when you're a former quarterback as well, connecting with your current quarterback and making it all come together. It's really been fun. But I want to talk about the other side of the field for a moment, because the defense has been just as impressive. To your point there, they've really helped carry this team. 16 sacks on the year, the most in the NFL already. How have this Vikings defense, how have they been able to get to the quarterback and be so disruptive this season?
They've rebuilt their secondary, Haley, a little bit, and they've also added they've added a kind of a wild card, a guy who played for the Dolphins but did not start, Andrew Van Ginkel, and he has been all over the field, and he's very disruptive. They built their defensive line. Danielle Hunter is no longer there. He's with Houston. So they've really had to kind of reconstruct what they have on defense, and they've just taken a great approach. But perhaps at the heart of their improvement is that they're playing for another year under Brian Flores. Brian Flores is the defensive coordinator. He brings a ton of pressure, not as much as last year, but a lot. And I think they're picking their choice routes to get to the quarterback. I think they're using a scheme in the secondary. They've added Stephon Gilmore, a decorated defensive back. They've just done a lot of smart things. Hunter Smith is back there, a veteran, a decorated veteran in the secondary at the safety. They've used a lot of these components to come up with maybe a defense that doesn't blitz quite as much as they did last year, but ever explosive, and that they could at any time. It's leaving offenses kind of off kilter, and it really has made for a great start. That defense is as good as we've seen to start this early NFL season.
They also lead the NFL with 54 pressures this season. To your point, they are being disruptive. And you got to think on the other side of this matchup that if you're Matt LaFleur, you're keeping that in mind, the fact that this Vikings defense likes to bring the pressure on your quarterback. Obviously, we saw Jordan Love listed as questionable for this week, but Malik Willis, man, we saw his numbers off the top of this segment here. If you're LaFleur, how much are you factoring in this Vikings defense when you're making a decision at starting quarterback this week?
Well, yeah, you've got to, and I don't know that it will be as important to make the right decision aside from health. I think he can go either way with either quarterback. Clearly, Jordan Love may not be as nimble and as adroit getting out of the way of that rush. Willis can run, as we have seen. He's done it for 2 straight games. The Packers can run as a team. Their run blocking has been superb. Willis is not making any mistakes, and he's been given the playbook in spoonfuls. So if there's a question as to mobility, if there is a question of evasiveness, and Love is not 100%, I would think that would clearly factor into the mind if you bring him back already. Now, with Malik Willis, he has come in, not only run the ball well, he has thrown the ball well, not turned it over. He's got a very high percentage in throwing, has got enough of a grasp of this Green Bay offense to clearly succeed, and they're playing at home, too. That's going to be a benefit. I think for a second time with Willis, by the way, they played Nashville last week before they played with them, and they looked very good against the Colts and beat them. Run-heavy offense has been a key, and getting the ball out in a hurry. Now, it's not like Willis is going to catch it from the snap and run. He runs with a purpose, and I think that has been maybe as enlightening a way of how he has impacted this offense. He's not just scrambling to run. He is doing everything with purpose, standing in the pocket when he needs to, seeing what's available, and then making a move, or they run the ball and control the clock and control the line of scrimmage. But the Vikings will be clearly their biggest obstacle in the 3 games that Love has not been there. And if he is there in this game, we'll just see how nimble he is. With this kind of injury, I don't think Green Bay is going to mess around. In particular, the way that Malik Willis has played. He's played so confidently and with gusto and with the command of the offense and with the belief of the other guys on that offense that I don't think they'll blink if they say, we're going to play it safe, and Green Bay usually does, and we're going to shelve Love for another week, perhaps longer. Willis is doing the job in his replacement campaign and he's reignited his career. and he has not let anybody down. I don't think they'll bat an eye if he has to start again in replacing Jordan Love.
Well, Jordan Love was back at practice. I was going to say Malik Willis earned my respect whenever he noticed that his teammate threw up on the ball and he had the mindset to hold on to it.
Yeah, Josh Meyer had that's right. Yeah, right on it. I mean, smack dab on the ball. And we've seen the replay of it. It's stomach turning. But yeah, even in moments of stress and he is in dire straits, he knows when not to touch the ball. So that was a big move right there by him. Proved a lot.
A heads-up moment for sure. Well, Kevin, listen, we are so excited to listen to you on the call this week. Good luck to you and your crew. I'm sure this one is going to be a very exciting matchup.
Thank you, Haley. Great to visit with you. It's going to be, I think, all that is advertised. And the North, by the way, is bananas, right? Minnesota undefeated. Detroit right there. They were in the NFC Championship game last year. Most people out of that division were picking Green Bay to win the conference and go to the Super Bowl in New Orleans. So with the quarterbacking they have in that division, and with the play of those three teams in particular, it probably is the most difficult single division in pro football.
It is. It is going to be an exciting one to watch play out. Kavin Harlan will be on the call for us on CBS for that Vikings-Packers game kicking off at 1 o'clock Eastern. Just one of several good games that morning. You also have the Steelers and the Colts. The Steelers undefeated, by the way, under Justin Fields. Hello. The Broncos and the Jets, Jags, Texans, and then that late window, 4:25. The Chiefs trying to keep it rolling against the Chargers, and the Browns get the Raiders.